Welcome to Fred Achando Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, thanks for your continued support. Now, I want to request you, if you are watching us for the first time, kindly hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you whenever we do a video like this. Also, give our videos more likes so that YouTube can recommend them for more viewers. Winnie Odinga, the daughter of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, is a lady on a mission. And as they say, a woman on a mission needs no permission. And I can see Winnie Odinga. I have followed her political movements. She is busy building her political niche. She is expanding her political habitat. And very soon, you will see Winnie Odinga in national politics, and then you will start accusing her of being a dynasty, of running because of the name of the Odinga family. Ever since she was nominated to the EALA Parliament, the East African Legislative Parliament, Winnie has been explaining herself. Why do I think that Winnie is preparing herself to take over from the father? Her political sprouting has come at a time when Raila Odinga, who is her father, is in his political twilight, in his political sunset. Raila Odinga started his politics in the 80s or 70s there. And he has achieved a lot of political mileage that no one can ever tell. The story of Raila Odinga can only be told by Raila himself. Whatever he has achieved is unmatched. I don't think there is anybody who will ever reach the scales, the political scales that Raila Odinga has put. He has fought for the democratic space, expanding the democratic space, political liberation. And so Winnie Odinga has realized that the father is now not very energetic the way he was just simply even 10 years ago. And Winnie Odinga wants to take over that constituency, and she's preparing herself. What are some of these things that I feel Winnie is doing that makes me to come into a conclusion that she's preparing herself? And I really love the way Winnie is doing it. Number one, Winnie Odinga has crafted her politics devoid of insults. She is giving alternatives. I have always maintained that if you want to liberate a nation, stop insulting other leaders, because soon you will also be a leader. So Winnie Odinga does not insult. She's only offering alternatives.
Yeah. The other day I was in Siaya and somebody was growing coffee. What we never knew, right by the lake, is that the altitude is the same as Limuru. So in Alego, he's growing using the Ruru 11 coffee seed. He's growing Arabica coffee in Alego. Yeah. He's growing it and he's exporting it. But all his neighbors have just been growing maize. So now he's showing them, hey, you can start growing this thing. There's something I've been perennially saying in South Nyanza about sugar cane. And if you've ever had a sweetener, it's called the stevia.
Yep.
You know stevia? Of course you do. You guys are educated. The stevia plant, the stalk, grows taller than the sugarcane plant. Same conditions, same space, but one stalk gives you 1.5 more sugar than a sugarcane plant. So if the sugar industry is dead, pivot, switch. Why are we importing sugar from Uganda? Let them do the sugarcane. If it's not working here, we have to switch. We have to find newer ways of doing things. We have to give people options. Nobody grows up saying he wants to ride the Nduthi. Nobody is here. They left home because there were no options, so we give them options back at home. You don't have a case like what happened last week. I was so ashamed. You just see people twerking for Bill Gates over GMO. But why are we in that state? Why are the coffers empty? There was something that used to happen in the Grand Coalition government where you sit with the meteorological department, they tell you your rains for next year, you plan, they tell you, so add stock here, sell this, you're going to have an overflow. There has to be some planning, yeah? And they're being given a product that's not good for them. Now, if you create the policy at Yala and say that here in the East Africa Union, this is our policy on GMO. This is our study. Before anybody in this country moves, this is our study, and from that we've created this policy, and you're not going to come to any of these countries. We're going to talk about it. I've heard people saying how GMO is good for them and whatever. I lived in America. Have you seen the size of Americans? GMO is not something that is good for us right now. And even if it's is being used as an intervention, what are we doing to further not have to need this intervention? If it's an immediate intervention because people are starving to death, you need to start thinking of vertical farming, polytunneling. We can't keep talking about irrigation and drip irrigation. It's moved further, artificial intelligence, robotics in farming. So what is it? Is a question that we can buy it? Can we make it?
And I found this very beneficial to me because I would want leaders who will criticize, but they also give an alternative. Do you know we have leaders from both political divide who will wake up from the Kenya Kwanza and they either tweet or start shouting, insulting Raila Odinga, because that is the only way they can gain political mileage with their people without offering any alternative. Even in the Azimio, ODM, there are leaders who will just wake up and insult William Ruto. And I come from a school of thought that insults do not change any society. People who want to make real change will provide alternatives. And I find it very amazing with Winnie Odinga that she's not insultive. She is growing herself. And let me tell you something. There are leaders around Raila Odinga who just wants to be with Raila. They just want to be, they want to be seen, camera to see them next to Raila. Because they are not doing anything to the people. The fact that they are with Raila is the only thing they tell the people. They wouldn't, in fact, if you start a conversation about Raila should go home, these are the leaders who will attack you first. Because the moment Raila is not in politics, you remove Raila out of sight and these leaders will never be elected. Winnie is cutting a niche. She's building her political empire. So these leaders who are around Raila Odinga are now very quiet. And Winnie is calculating her moves. Once she grows politically, you will see these leaders starting to criticize that she's riding on Odinga family. Number two, ladies and gentlemen, Winnie Odinga is fearless. Where I come from, we like leaders who are fearless. And Kenyans love leaders who are fearless. Leaders who will see something that is wrong and they will not be cowed or intimidated. Just like Raila Odinga. There is this discussion about GMO, and I repeat, that when everyone was quiet, Raila Odinga came out very fearlessly and he criticized and said that this is something that is of a national stake. Someone cannot just wake up in the morning and say that we have reverted the policy in GMO and now Kenya should start taking GMO. And if you followed the politics of Raila Odinga, it has been crafted around a very courageous leader, one who will tell the people as it is. And that is what Winnie is doing. Recently, I did a story and you can check it, of how Winnie took on the West, the USA and the Western, the Europe countries, where she said that the Europe will always install a leader of their own, a puppet who they can use in Africa. And she added that this is the reason why even our elections are not free and fair, African elections. And she's talking of our natural resources that we cannot enjoy. Africa cannot enjoy its natural resources. Why? Because the Europe or the European powers and the Western powers will always have someone to install who will be dancing to their tune, so that as they come to exploit our resources, without we getting value for our resources, no one will question, because the leaders are their own leaders whom they have chosen. She is following in the footsteps of her father. When the father talked about GMO, she's criticizing it. And this characteristic of being fearless is one that we need as a family. And this is the reason why I believe that Winnie will soon take over. Winnie believes in her father's ideologies. She has done her politics around her father. She's been managing her father's campaigns in 2013, 2017, and even in 2022. She was in Azimio, managing the campaigns, how money is distributed, the merchandise and everything. And I know you're about to ask me, why did Azimio lose if she was in charge of the campaigns? Campaigns and elections are two different things. The campaigns were successful. You saw how colorful they were. How they managed the leaders there, and the management was just okay. I don't know what happened during or on the election day. That is a story for another day. And I believe that Raila Odinga will be very happy with Winnie, because Winnie has learned in his footsteps. When the father, in fact, if you look at the video that I did, the father is talking about economic integration, geopolitics, that Africans must unite so that they can speak with one voice. And that is the same and the very language that Winnie is speaking. And even as she goes to Yala, she's saying that she's going to fight for this geo-integration, where East African countries, Rwanda, Burundi, Kenya, Congo, Tanzania, Uganda, must come together with one currency, We open our borders and do business, however, have our regional policies. So the father is talking the same thing, and Winnie is speaking the same thing. And if you see them talking together, it tells you that the father is slowly groomed. In fact, I don't even think that Winnie is being groomed. Winnie wants to cut a niche for herself and take over. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that Winnie Odinga is focused and knowledgeable. If you listen to most of her interviews, she grew up in America, she understands, and in fact when she was talking about the GMO, she said that she's been in America. And the GMO, you all know that it's simply trying to interfere with the DNA of a plant or an animal so that it grows faster and unusually big. And Winnie was explaining that if you see the sizes of the American citizens, they are overgrown, they are big, or sort of, she was saying that almost obese. And she's saying that she understands how GMO works. If you bring Winnie to local politics, all the way from Bondo, Siaya Country, Nairobi, she understands that area. And she seems to be very focused on what she's going to do in Yala.